I'm gonna walk through some of the basic concepts that you're probably doing already today. But I do want to start off with a caveat, because there's some of you folks in here that I'm probably not going to reach. It is what it is. I've done plenty of these presentations. I even had, we do a monthly recognition call for my entire area. There was a sales rep, no longer here. She was a horrible sales rep. She was actually watching I'm not going to say her name because some of you guys know her. She was actually watching a soap opera while I was doing a recognition call. So some of the folks in this room, what I'm going to say to you today is not going to mean it's going to go in one ear and out the other. You're probably going to start multitasking on your PDA. You're not going to get anything out of this presentation. I can't help you. But show of hands, all the people in here that want to make more than $200,000 this year, show of hands. All right? I commend all of you because in my humble opinion, sales is the best profession in the entire world. Being successful in sales is the equivalent of having an MBA from Harvard. You can go anywhere in the world and make money. Control your life, control your own destiny. So I commend anyone, and I respect anyone that is willing to put it out on the line every day and be in sales. I also respect you. It's 7:30 in the morning on Tuesday, and you guys are all here trying to learn something, trying to improve your business. So if you're interested in making more money, then I just want you to get one or two things out of what I'm going to say today that's going to help you in your business. All right? So I have a 7-year-old daughter. Anyone have kids? Ever have kids? Anyone have anyone in their 7, 8, 9? Okay. My brother went to MIT. Brilliant guy, got a perfect math SAT score. Somehow all the intelligence went to him. I just work hard. I have a pretty smile and a great personality. But my daughter, she's an extremely, really smart girl. She's got that MIT type intelligence. And anyone that has a 7-year-old knows, 7-year-olds make you think differently about they look at the world through a different lens. And this is the cover of my book. And I know what this means to me, but she asked me, she's like, Daddy, is the sun coming up or coming down in this picture? That's a good question, right? So show of hands, is the sun coming up or down?
Up.
Show of hands that it's coming down. Just quick show of hands. Okay. And then also she was like, Daddy, in this picture, which one are you? Are you the lion or the gazelle? So when you look at this picture, how many folks are the lion in this picture? Ooh. Anyone consider themselves a gazelle in this picture? See me after the meeting. All right? Okay, so the reason that this is how I live my life. I firmly believe in the essence of survival. I'm going to read this verbatim. Every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up. It knows it must run faster than the fastest lion or it will be killed. Every morning, a lion wakes up. It knows it must outrun the slowest gazelle or it will starve to death. It doesn't matter whether you're a lion or a gazelle. When the sun comes up, you better be running. And if you're a sales professional, if you're a lion, what you're chasing is money. You're chasing career progression. You're chasing success, right? If you decide every single day you get to choose who you're going to be, that's what I love about being in sales. But if you decide you're going to be the gazelle, get up at 10 o'clock, start your day early, late, you don't make it, you don't do any prospecting, you shut it down at 4 o'clock, banker's hours, then you're the gazelle. Well, we have some aggressive bankers. So if you decide to be that gazelle, what's chasing you is bills, bill collectors potentially, house note, your boss because you're not selling anything. So every single day you get to decide if you're going to be that lion or gazelle. And in my humble opinion, in that picture the sun is coming up, right? Because the lion has to get up earlier than the gazelle. The lion has to strategize. It has to hunt. It's got a plan. The gazelle just gets up and it just roams around and walks around because it's going to probably get killed. But if you want to be a lion, you have to get up early. You have to leave late. You have to strategize. You have to work smart. You have to do all those things. And in my humble opinion, that is the essence of survival. That's what my book's all about, and that's what sales is all about. What I'm going to cover today, why in the hell should you listen to anything that I have to say? I'm going to walk you through that. Why did I create the blueprint? What is the blueprint? I'm going to go through some key fundamentals, some things that if you're not doing, you probably all should be doing these, but if you're not doing them, I'm going to try to encourage you to continue to do these little things. Executing the blueprint, I'm going to talk about what a contact plan is. In my humble opinion, Mark got the clicker right there. The drive-by is the most effective way to get a first appointment with a prospect. I'm going to walk through some strategies on that, talk to a few things on telemarketing, managing the sales process. There's some keys you can take away from that. There's some business tools like BusinessWise, Salesforce.com, or some type of CRM that you should be utilizing. LinkedIn. How many folks are using LinkedIn? Okay, great. We won't spend too much time on that. And then this is a tough job, right? And I'm going to talk to you, give you some things to think about to stay positive through the tough times as you go out and do sales. And I am a struggling author. We do have books for sale in the back. So I'll close with kind of why you should purchase the book. Okay, so I've been with Sprint. She said 16 years, now it's 17. I started January 2nd, 1996. I had this dream of playing professional football. I went to a really small college, Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. And I had this dream of playing professional football. And Morehouse is a D2 school, so I thought I could go to Canada, play in Canada for a year, and then jump to the NFL. Tried out. My parents had sent me money because I was a political science major to study for the study for the LSAT. I actually took the money and I bought a personal trainer. While all the other kids were going to spring break and partying, I was training. So I actually tried out, made the Canadian Football League, played in Canada, got to travel, played against Doug Flutie, Rocket Ishmael. Anyone remember Rocket Ishmael? But that experience taught me, dude, you're not going to make your mark in the world playing football. This is a pipe dream. I did make $40,000 in 16 weeks, thought I was rich. I came back to Atlanta, and I was like, I'll just work for a year, study for the GMAT, or go to grad school, study for the GMAT, make some money. And Sprint was hiring kids right out of college for customer service jobs. So I started my career in customer service on an ACD in a call center. So when you were pissed off and you called Sprint, I was the guy that answered your phone. So I've worked my way up to this position. I've done basically everything but take the trash out at Sprint. I've been in customer service, network operations. I was a technician, believe it or not. I was in project management, and I knew right then and there the money and the career progression was in sales. So I jumped into network engineering, was in direct sales, killed in direct sales, went to sales management. Now I'm a sales director. So I've kind of come up through the ranks, done a lot of the dirty grunt work. But that's kind of my professional background. Just some personal things. I'm the luckiest man in the world. I outkick my coverage, is what guys say when you make a great selection with your spouse. But I have a wonderful family. My dad was in the military. My dad was a Green Beret. He was Special Forces, a Ranger, so we traveled all throughout the world. My kids and I were learning how to play the piano together, and I coached my kids' soccer team. I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. And that, if you ever coach your kids' team, that teaches you patience, it teaches you focus, it teaches you leadership. So those are just some personal things about me. Why you should listen to me? In this job that I have, when I took this role, I relocated from Atlanta to Dallas. There's 20 areas in Sprint. This was the worst performing area in the entire company. We had 90 plus people at the time. We managed close to 85 people out of the business, basically rebuilt the entire team. We have one of the top performing areas in the entire company in business sales. And one of the reasons why we hired great people, got some great sales managers like Roy, got some great sales professionals, but these folks believe and execute this blueprint. When I was a sales manager, you're going to see a trend here. I took over probably the worst team in the entire company. I inherited 10 of the worst salespeople you could ever imagine, lazy, stupid, didn't want to work. Managed them all out of the business, hired 10 new people, made them execute the blueprint. We had the #1 sales branch in the entire company, and that's out of 350 sales branches in business sales. As a sales rep, out of 3,000 plus sales reps, I was the #3 rep in the entire company for 2 consecutive years, went to President's Circle 2 consecutive years, and as a rep I made $240,000 on a base salary of 40 grand. So this stuff works. I'm not just making this stuff up. I'm a firm believer in this. Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. So just to give you some numbers, average sales rep at Sprint makes anywhere between 40 and 70, depending on how long you've been with the company. Commission, you'll make anywhere from 33 to 60 grand, at 100%, depending on what level you're at. A good rep at Sprint makes about 80 grand. The folks that execute the blueprint consistently make over $150,000 a year easy. These are some of the people, these are some commission checks of folks that are on my team last year. This is real money. So these are people that are putting the work in, doing the little things that I'm going to talk about, executing this blueprint. This is real money. I don't know, anybody in here interested in getting a $42,000 commission check? I know Caesar, you do a lot of 42 grand. But so I'm not making this stuff up. This is legitimate. If you execute this blueprint, you can make some money. So why did I create the blueprint? And I'm just going to read this verbatim. I never want another sales professional to experience the confusion, heartache, discouragement, and tears I endured during my first year of sales. And the reason I wrote this blueprint was when I went into sales, I was an engineer. I was making close to 100 grand in base salary. Engineers make good money in Sprint. And I took a $60,000 pay cut and went into direct sales. And I had one of those sales managers. I didn't get any training. I didn't get any accounts. I didn't get a territory. I got a laptop, and the guy told me, hey, man, you got 90 days to ramp up, or you're going to be on plan. I didn't get any direction. My first year was the worst experience of my entire professional career. I remember 6 months in, sitting in my car, crying. Because I was like, why the hell did I do this to myself? I'm getting ready to get fired. I just got married. I'm not making any money. So out of necessity, I created this blueprint. What is the blueprint? It's basically a combination of successful strategies and clever tactics, if executed on a daily basis, right, Roy? Yeah. Will allow you to dominate professional sales. And I love this Chinese proverb because what the blueprint does, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. In its simplest form, you might have heard this before, but I'm a firm believer in this. And this is what the blueprint is all about. All right, the more hours you put in, the more prospects you find. The more prospects you find, the more calls you make. The more calls you make, the more appointments you get. The more appointments you get, the more proposals you do. The more proposals you do, the more sales you make. The more sales you make, the more money you make. It's all about the money, right? It's why we're in sales. The more money you make, the higher quality of life your family can live. Better vacations, better homes, pay for college, things of that nature. The key is, if you don't put the hours in, and you don't make the calls, you're not going to make any money, because you're not going to make any sales. So you have to be willing to put in the hours and make the calls. Cold calling sucks, prospecting sucks, but it's the lifeblood of sales. All right, so I really kind of focus on this a little bit. There's 4 reasons why. A lot of people say they want to be in sales. They think that we play golf all the time, and we're taking clients out to lunch. They don't really know the dark side of sales. But these are the 4 reasons why people don't make it in sales. And anybody here in sales leadership? Okay, so these are probably some people that you don't want on your teams. Fear of rejection. If you don't like being told no, if that bothers you, sales is not for you. Lack of organization. As a sales professional, you're the CEO of your own business. If you're not organized, you won't be successful. Lack of creativity. I'm going to spend a little time on that. Creativity is the it factor. The ability to make a busy, important stranger give you 15 to 30 minutes of their time. That takes creativity, takes juice. It's called the it factor. And then getting creative, thinking outside of the box. And then putting in the work. So if somebody in this room is scared of rejection, not very organized, doesn't have any creativity, you're not willing to put in the work, get out of sales immediately. You're wasting your time. There's way more things, there's way more better ways you can earn money. All right, in my humble opinion, across the hundreds of sales professionals that I've ever worked with, the ones that are successful exhibit these characteristics on a daily basis. I don't care if you're in real estate, staffing, office technology, you sell HVAC, construction, professional development, printing, Sprint, technology. If you exude these characteristics on a consistent basis, you will always be successful in sales. In my humble opinion, the most important one is the it factor. And all these come into the it factor, having energy, having excitement, having a persona, having things to talk about. But the hardest thing about sales is getting the first appointment, right? It's great, and people can manage accounts all day long, but the real salespeople are the ones that can start, light the fire, generate the interest. So the it factor is the most important aspect of professional sales. Now I want to give a special shout out to Roy Jones. Roy Jones has been in the sales game for 26 years. And this is one of the biggest things that he talks about, and I've really embraced this. What is your why? Why are you doing this? What's motivating you every day to get out of bed and deal with rejection and deal with all the things we have to do to be successful in sales? My why is my family. I want to provide a better life for my family. I want to pay cash for my kids. If my daughter tells me she wants to go to Harvard, I want to pay cash for that. Not have my kids come out of school with debt. That's what drives me. Yours could be you want to buy a new car. You got a house payment like Michael Bruner's got a new house. got three daughters at home you got to take care of. Whatever it is, you have to connect to that why and keep it in front of you and stay focused. What are your financial goals? How many people in here know how much money they want to make in 2013? Okay, you got to know that number. What are your 2013 goals? How many people wrote their goals down? What do you want to get done this year? How many folks did that? If you haven't done that, you need to do that. And lastly, does everybody in this room know what your development areas, what your weaknesses are? Are you conscious of those constantly? So these are some things that, if you're connected to your why, you're doing these things on a regular basis, you'll be successful in sales. One of the most important aspects of being successful in sales is managing your time. Love this quote here: I must govern the clock, not be governed by it. So every decision you make throughout the day, I love this here, there are rewards and consequences. Because all you have is time. That is your biggest asset as a sales professional. So I asked you how much money you want to make. So this is a formula, because you hear lawyers, billable hours is big in the legal industry. How much can I bill a client? What is my hour worth? So as a sales professional, I want you to know how much every hour of the day is worth to you. So this is a simple way to calculate this. So if you want to make $200,000 a year, so there's 8 hours a day, right? 8 to 5 is critical selling time. I'll even give you a lunch break. So there's 40 hours a week, 52 total weeks in a business calendar. So that's 2,080 hours. That's all you have from 8 to 5 prime time selling. You take 2,080, divide it by how much money you want to make. So if you want to make $200,000 a year, every hour of the day, your time is worth $96.15. So every hour of the day you do something that's not productive, that's costing you $96.15. So you can plug this formula in, whatever your financial goal is. Hopefully it's higher than $200,000. If it's not, plug it in, and you'll know every single hour of the day how critical it is for you. So in my humble opinion, these are the 5 critical areas for a sales professional. And the most important one is you have to constantly ask yourself, is this activity that I'm doing right now between 8 and 5 going to help me make money? Is it going to get me closer to closing a sale? Is it going to get me a customer-facing appointment? If it's not, don't do it during the day. Now, this goes back to the work ethic. Do it early in the morning or do it at night. Don't do it during the day. These are the top 5 priorities, in my humble opinion, how you should prioritize what you focus on between 8 and 5. Number 1 is prospecting. New business, looking for new logo business. That is the lifeblood of what we do in sales. Because it's just like sports. What have you done for me lately? 2012 is over, Mark Brown. Mark Brown's won the President's Circle. One of the top performing reps in the entire company. Guess what? 2012 is over, my friend. Number 2, if you have a deal on the table, what are you doing to get that deal closed? Are you going to see the client? Are you working on the proposal? Are you positioning other folks on your team to call the decision makers, whatever it may be? What are you doing to get that deal closed? Number 3, taking care of your existing customer base. At Sprint, we have folks, it's kind of a hybrid role. You've got to hunt and you got to take care of your customers. Thank you, sir. So you've got to make sure you take care of your base. You don't need to lose customers, because repeat customers, they provide you referrals. They provide you more business. Number 4, working on self-improvement, reading. How many folks read the business paper? Wall Street Journal. How many folks read the Wall Street Journal? Great. Dallas Business Journal, CNN.com, whatever your industry, like in Sprint, we have to stay up on the technology industry. Changes all the time. So reading, studying, working on, coming to things like this. This is another important area. Lastly, don't do any expense reports. I hate when I get these expense reports during the day. Don't do expense reports during the day, reporting, things of that nature. Don't do that between 8 and 5. And always ask yourself, is this activity going to help me close more business? This breaks my heart. This is number 1 thing. How many folks do this? How many folks go to lunch with their peers, coworkers? Just keep it real here. Chris, you do? Anybody else? If you're stop doing this. Never go to lunch with someone that can't buy anything from you. Go to lunch with clients. Go to lunch with other sales professionals where you guys strategize on leads and how to exchange information. Don't go to lunch with a bunch of other salespeople. They can't buy anything from you. They can't help you do that on the weekends or in your spare time. I don't think anybody in this room, if you want to make $200,000 a year, would pay $96.15 to take one of your coworkers out to lunch. Anybody here would do that? Don't go to lunch with coworkers. These are some tips, best practices that I utilize to manage time. Number one, I personally keep a to-do list, and I number the to-do list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it gives me great pleasure to scratch stuff off my to-do list. But that's how I govern my time. If it's not on the priority list, it doesn't get done that day. Everything else goes to the side. It helps me not get stuck in email, not get stuck returning phone calls. I got to get that stuff done on that list. And if I don't get it done that day, guess what? I move it to the next day. And the next day. Sometimes I'll have 3 or 4 lists, and I have to rip it all up and start all over. But keep a to-do list. It helps you prioritize your time. Put everything on your calendar. Hopefully everybody has Outlook or some type of email system where you can put everything on your calendar. Sync with your PDA. You'll never forget an appointment. You'll never forget an action item. Keep it on your calendar. Live by a CRM tool. At Sprint, we use Salesforce.com. How do you track your appointments? How do you track your activity, your proposals, your opportunities, your clients? If you're not using a CRM tool, I would highly encourage you to invest in one. It'll help you stay organized. Know when to delegate. Work, as a sales professional, you're the CEO. You have people probably at your companies that get a paycheck every 2 weeks to support you. Delegate that stuff to them. Don't be a customer service rep. Be a sales professional. You're a CEO. Delegate. Lastly, make daily prospecting a key priority. Every single day. If you don't get a new appointment, it was a bad day in my opinion. Always focus on looking for new business. Okay, value statements. I love this quote here. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. So you heard some value statements. In my humble opinion, a value statement is your opportunity to create that it factor. It's your opportunity to communicate your brand. It's your personalized commercial. And you only have 30 seconds. Because when you're talking to a busy person, their mind is moving lots of different places, right? You have less than 30 seconds to catch their attention before they tune you out. So your value statement's got to be concise, it's got to be tight, and you have to be able to clearly explain who you are, what you do, and how you're different from your competition in less than 30 seconds. It requires practice, but I would encourage you to, if you don't have a tight value statement, you can't get up and communicate that very quickly in a concise fashion. It's going to be tough for you to generate interest with busy people. So these are three value statements that you have to know, that if you can't get up right now in this room and give these to the folks in this room and be compelling, I would encourage you to practice. Why should someone buy from your company? What's different about your company than your competition? Why should someone buy from you? And you hear this all the time. People buy from other people. That's the truth. If there's nothing unique about you, no one's going to buy from you. And then be able to explain what you do for your company. And that's really big for me because I work for Sprint. And to this day, my family thinks that I sit in a retail store and selling cell phones at kiosks. And a lot of people have a misperception of what Sprint is. And if you're in the HVAC industry, some people don't know what HVAC is, or the printing industry, or banking, finance, whatever it may be. You have to be able to eloquently explain what you do and how you make money. Roy, you want to do a little value statement for us? Oh, no, I was just kidding. But
He's ready.
I never seen an audience I didn't like, so.
I like these little commercials here. I mean, these are some catchy things that Geico, the Gecko, that was pretty cool. I love these Mayhem. You guys seen these Allstate Mayhem commercials? Those are pretty catchy. And then obviously the Aflac. But this is your commercial. This is your opportunity to convince someone why should they listen to what you have to say. Written communication. This is extremely important. So everyone knows this. When you get those long emails, I mean, it's painful to look at them. It's not good. They get deleted. So written communication, because a lot of times you can land appointments and you can get customers' interest through email, through written communication. So these are some keys to making sure that your emails are relevant and they get read. Most importantly, shorter is always better. I call it be easy on the eyes. Never write more than 3 paragraphs in your emails, no more than 3 sentences. Make it easy on the person. When they see it, it's concise, it's short, they can read it, it's compelling. It's most likely they're gonna give your email some attention. And this is something very important. When you're trying to get appointments with people, make it easy for them. Always give them 3 dates and times to choose from. And remember, you're calling busy people. They have a lot on their plate. Give them 1 to 2 weeks out. Because I see people a lot of times do this. Oh, how about tomorrow at 10 o'clock? Most people are busy. I mean, are you guys free tomorrow at 10 o'clock? Hope not. A decision maker is not either. So 2 weeks out, 3 dates and time, make it easy for them. I love this quote here. The most valuable of all talents is that of never using 2 words when one will do. This is a perfect example of a nice, concise email. Very easy to read. I always say if you can look at it on your PDA and read it, most likely a client will. 3 dates and times. Very short, concise, straight to the point. This is if your emails are longer than this is kind of long in my opinion, but if your emails are longer than this, it's not going to get read. It's going to get deleted. Short, concise, straight to the point. The next thing I'm going to talk about are just some fundamentals like questioning skills. And when I think of questioning skills, this is the coolest guy on TV. Anyone watch CSI Miami? Horatio Kane? You think so? He's cool. He's cool. And also, this guy here is like the best interrogator on television. And what's cool about like CSI and Law and Order, like they come to a crime scene, they have to figure out what happened. And that's the same thing you have to do as a sales professional. And these are some basic blocking and tackling. These are really 3 important things that you need to make sure you master. Great questions is the ability that's going to differentiate you from a good sales rep and a great sales rep is the ability to ask great questions. And there's several, in the book I have the questions broken down and categorized. But number 1, you've got to have, when you're asking questions, you have to put yourself in the mindset of who you're asking the question to. A CEO thinks way differently than a CFO. A CFO thinks differently than a CIO, an IT director, a manager. So the chain of command thinks differently, operates differently, so you have to ask them different types of questions. Also, first appointment questions are very important. You always want to ask open-ended questions. What, how, why. Ask the question, shut up and let them talk. Don't ask leading questions. And then, most importantly, you have to ask closing questions throughout the entire sales process. Who makes the decision? What's the decision-making timeline? Is there a budget for this project? Things of that nature. The administrative assistant, I have a whole chapter in the book about the importance of the administrative assistant, gatekeeper, executive assistant. This is a powerful person. They represent the company, especially the receptionist that sits outside. They have major influence in that office, in that company. The executive assistant, believe it or not, is one of the most powerful people in any corporation that you're calling on. So there's several ways. If you can get the admin on your side, that means you can always get on their calendar. And a lot of times, the decision maker will ask the admin's opinion about you as a sales professional, what they think about you, and what they think about is the solution that help their company. How many people are writing written thank you cards on a consistent basis? 95% of sales professionals today do not write written thank you cards. I have personally won sales because I wrote a written thank you card for the decision maker. If the price is the same, they view you as the same, there's got to be something different that's going to differentiate you, and that's the written thank you card could be that thing. After a first appointment, after you get a sale, a written thank you card, it goes a long way. Think about some things when you do something nice for somebody and they send you a written thank you card, how that feels. Same thing with clients. Make sure you guys are writing written thank you cards. And don't forget, that receptionist, that gatekeeper, that administrative assistant is a powerful person. Once again, I want to reemphasize this to you. Kindness is a language which the deaf ear can hear and the blind can see. If you're not writing written thank you cards, it's going to require more time. It's going to require more hard work. But I strongly recommend that you write written thank you cards. All right, this is near and dear to my heart. Anyone seen these commercials? The most interesting man in the world? This guy can go anywhere in the world, and he's going to be the toast of the town. He's interesting. He's alluring. He's captivating. And the reason why? He probably reads a lot. Reading is extremely important because it fills your mind, your mental repository, with information. If you read, you can talk about anything to anybody. So when you're talking to decision makers, you can't just talk about the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know why you want to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Or you don't want to talk about the Alabama Notre Dame game, right? Or the weather. How's the weather? And how your kids doing. You want to talk about things that mean something to them. Going to LinkedIn, looking at their profile. If they're on Facebook, finding out what kind of interest they have. Reading up on those kind of things. Reading about their company. Looking at their earnings report. Having some things to talk about other than sports and weather. If you want to be the most interesting man or woman in the world, you've got to read. So here's some blueprint fundamentals. We're going to talk a little bit about some cold calling, some contact plans, some drive-bys. One of the things, and I talk about rejection a lot, erase the word no from your vocabulary. I love this quote here from Babe Ruth. Every strike brings you closer to the next home run. Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron both lead the Major League Baseball
in home runs, but they also lead the Major League Baseball in strikeouts. So, and when I go back, I think back to my time, a long, long time ago when I was a single guy. When I was in college, we had a quota, and we went to parties and clubs. Every guy had to come out with 3 phone numbers. No matter how many times you got told the word no, you had to come out with 3 phone numbers. And it's the same thing with sales. The more times you hear the word no, it's the more opportunities you're going to hear the word yes. So one of the most important things is developing a contact plan. I'm going to quickly talk about some of the fundamentals of a contact plan. But you got to have a prospect list. Within your prospect list, you got to have big clients, small clients, and middle clients. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. And if you have your existing client base, referrals, happy clients that are similar to your competitors, you've got to build a prospect list. If you don't have a prospect list, please go back to your office and develop one. Also, you've got to have an organized way to penetrate any account, and that's through some of the things we've already talked about in the contact plan. And the reason why you've got to have a contact plan, on average, in our business, it's taking our reps 7 to 8 times to touch an account before they even get a first appointment. I don't know if it's different in your business, but if it's taking you 7 to 8 times to touch a client before you get an appointment, if you don't have an organized process to manage that, it's going to be difficult for you to get that first appointment and continue to further the opportunity. So this is a contact plan, and this is what we live and die by Sprint. And you can mix this order up, but these 5 steps, if repeated over and over on a consistent basis to multiple people in a company, you will get the appointment, you will further your opportunity. Number 1, unfortunately, if you don't have a way in warm through a referral, through one of your networking partners, you got to go in cold, which is obviously cold calling or knocking on the door. Anytime you leave a voicemail, anytime you make a phone call, if they're not able to leave a voicemail, it's an opportunity for them to hear your voice. They're probably going to delete it, but they'll hear your voice. It's building familiarity. Within 24 to 48 hours after every single cold call you make, you must send a follow-up email. That's another touch point. So if Monday you called me, I deleted your voicemail. Tuesday I got an email from you. The email was very short, concise. I might respond. But if I don't respond, that means I've heard from you 2 times. A week later, 2 weeks later, you hit me again, same process, another voicemail, another follow-up email. I may or may not respond, but if you've touched me 4 times in a 3-week period, I'm probably going to start to remember who you are. And then, this is the most effective way to get an appointment. After you've done all that, that didn't work, show up unannounced with a creative gift, ask to speak to that person. You'll be surprised how many times that person will come out. Especially if you're nice to the receptionist, they'll pick up the phone and call and get the person to come out. But guess what? You've called them a couple of times, sent them nice, concise emails. You're out there to see them. They might feel obligated to come out and see what you have to say. If not, you leave a creative gift within 24 to 48 hours. You send another follow-up email. That's 6 touches within a month. And now you left a creative gift. When you call again, there starts to build some obligation for them to respond to you. This works. If you do this with every customer or prospect on your list on a consistent basis, over a long period of time, I guarantee you this process works. So, anyone see the movie Boiler Room? All right. This is what inspired me to make cold calls. Boiler Room, just a quick summary, it's about a chop shop, stock brokerage firm that was not even on Wall Street. They got young kids, they trained them to be great at selling over the phone. They called Midwestern clients, they had a lot of money, and ripped them off. They were selling crap stock. I'm not saying that I believe what they were doing, but I do like the philosophy. So Ben Affleck played the sales trainer, and one of the most inspiring parts of the movie, he came in, and a lot of the guys were struggling making cold calls, and he was trying to tell them that on every single cold call you make, there's a sale that's made. Either the client's going to sell you on why they don't have time to see you, or you're going to sell them on why they should see you. So in every cold call you make, a sale is being made if you get that person live. If you do a drive-by and they show up, a sale is going to be made. If they're going to brush you off with their objections that you can't handle, or you're going to be able to, with the it factor, you're going to be able to convince them to give you 30 minutes of your time. So these are some simple fundamentals of cold calling. Don't make cold calling any harder than it is. It sucks. Anybody like cold calling? Are you serious?
I am really serious, yes.
All right, anybody else like cold calling?
You just never know what's behind that call.
I commend you on that. I hate cold calling. I mean, because you can't really leverage your personality. You're behind the phone. You can't see them. You can't read body language. But don't make this any harder than it is. These are some simple things. Keep it simple. Remember, you're talking to another person on the phone, and I guarantee you, 90% of all the decision makers have been in sales. Or they're running a company and they're selling. They respect salespeople because they know and believe that salespeople are the lifeblood of sales or to their company. So look, if you're smart, you're concise, you're straight to the point, you don't try to sell them over the phone, they'll probably give you 30 seconds of the time. Especially if you call them early in the morning or late in the afternoon. Remember, you're talking to another person, always ask them how they're doing. You're having a conversation, it warms things up. After you ask them how they're doing, get straight to the point. Tell them why you're calling and ask for the appointment. And then I'm going to talk to you about 8 objections you'll hear. But don't try to sell your product over the phone. You're trying to generate a little bit of interest. You get the appointment. That's all you want to do with the cold call. It's very simple. Don't complicate this. It's hard. It sucks. If you follow these simple things here, it'll make it a lot easier for you. So I don't care what industry you're in. And I'm probably sure you guys have all heard these are the 8 most objections you'll hear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Memorial to contract. Anybody heard that one? And this is one for Sprint. If you guys remember the Sprint Nextel merger, which was the 3rd worst merger in corporate history, there was about a 3-year period where our brand was ruined. So we had to sell uphill. We basically had to deal with a couple people thought we were going out of business and our customer service sucked, so we had to deal with that. I had a bad experience with your company and I moved to a competitor. That's another one you'll probably hear a lot. I'm not interested. That's probably one of the easiest ones customers say. I'm not interested. We don't have budget or we're looking to reduce costs, which you'll probably hear a lot in this economy. Call me back in a few months. Anybody heard that before? Send me some information. You need to speak to someone a few levels down and try to push you down. These are the basic objections you're going to hear. All right, so if cold calling doesn't work, in my humble opinion, the drive-by is the most effective way to get an appointment. Anyone seen Wall Street? Not the new Wall Street, the old Wall Street. You guys remember Bud Fox, Gordon Gekko? In this movie here, Gordon Gekko was like the catch of any stockbroker. He was like he was a whale, they call him whales. He was like the man on Wall Street. And Bud Fox cold called Gordon Gekko 52 days in a row and didn't get an appointment. But every time he called, he befriended the admin, sweet-talked her up. So when it was Gordon Gekko's birthday, he was on the cover of Fortune magazine, and this guy loved Cuban cigars. So Bud Fox had a connection at the airport, went and got some Cuban cigars, showed up unannounced for the appointment. The admin knew who he was because he cold called the guy 52 times in a row. Gordon Gekko knew who he was because he cold called him 52 times in a row. I'm not advocating that you call someone 52 times in a row, but you see what I'm getting, the contact plan, right? Because he befriended the admin, had a creative gift, was sharp, looked good, was smiling, she gave him 5 minutes with Gordon Gekko, and he became Gordon Gekko's client. And he ended up making tons of money. He did some other ethical things and going to jail. But he was relentless, and this is a picture of Bud in the movie with Fortune magazine and the Cuban cigars. And this inspired me, because I was having a terrible time getting people on the phone. This inspired me to do drive-bys. And this is the most effective way to get an appointment. So when you do a drive-by, it's basically an unannounced appointment, where it's a targeted strategic appointment, where you're going in, you know who you're asking for, you have a creative gift that's going to catch their attention, and you ask them to come out. All right? Don't just go to get the business card or get information. Go to get the appointment. Go, be aggressive. Go with confidence. Become friends with the administrative assistant. Well, guess what? If you can't get that person to come out, ask their executive assistant to come out so you can befriend that person. If your drive-by the first time is ineffective, well, guess what? You're going to have to call again. You're going to have to come out there again. But if that admin likes you, a lot of times they will help you get on their calendar. They'll help you get that appointment. Take a creative gift. I get on a lot of my sales reps that take crap out. If you take a crappy gift, it's going to get thrown in the trash. Invest some money to buy something catchy, something cool, something easy that you can replicate. And take something that's going to catch somebody's attention. Always leave a handwritten note. If they're not available, write a little personalized note. Tag it on the drive-by gift and say, can you please make sure that this gets to Mr. So-and-so? Because the admin doesn't have the right to throw that away. Now, if it's crap, it'll get thrown away. But if it's something creative, something good, they'll make sure that person gets that gift. Once again, always follow up with an email within 24 to 48 hours.
And I would have some fun with the subject line of that email. If, say, for example, you went to a bakery and got a big cookie and you put your contact information on there, creative cookie, or did you get my gift, something like that. And 90% of the time, these folks will respond to that. And then, holiday times, I'm going to show you some gifts in a second. Leverage, we had Super Bowls coming up, you got Valentine's Day coming up, spring break, Thanksgiving, Christmas, 4th of July, summertime. Make sure you guys leverage your theme and have some things with your gifts here. So these are some gifts that we had a big drive-by blitz, and we called it on. This is Chris's gift right here, Chris. She made these. Did this work for you? So we had some folks that these are some scary-looking Santas here. We had folks that put on Santa Claus caps, gift wrapped their gifts, and showed up unannounced, and this led to getting appointments, furthering opportunities. There's some other creative ones. Camille, this is yours, Camille. Camille did this one here.
Got a big deal out of that.
Oh, you did?
60 units.
All right. I like this one here. Call me, call me. Who's not going to respond to that? If you've been calling this person, you've been sending them emails. I know Sandra did. Sandra's raise your hand there. Sandra, share with you what little creative idea that you have that you do.
I do tip cookies, and actually, this one prospect that we were trying to get into, I took a box of cookies and I just say thank you on there. And this was to the CEO, and it led to him to us getting an appointment. We've been trying to see him for 6 months. That opened the door for us.
So is anyone doing this today? Okay. I would encourage you to do this. This is something different. Like, for example, a lot of folks aren't doing it. It's a unique thing. It's a great way to get appointments. Remember Bud Fox. Just a couple quick things here. Always know there's 5 stages of the sales process. I go in detail in the book, but you got to always know where you're at in the sales process. There's 5 areas of the sales process. First appointment, generating the interest, uncovering the pain points. Does your customer, do they even need your solution? Finding an opportunity so you're not wasting your time. Is there a real opportunity within this account? Presenting your proposal to the decision maker, and then closing the sale. And anywhere in the sales process, you've got to be able navigator. I love this quote here. The winds and waves are always on the side of the ablest navigators. These are SEALs in sales training. These guys got dumped miles off from the shore, and they were told you got 3 hours to get back to base. So you've got to be able to navigate the sales process. But the important thing is you got to know where you are in the sales process. Closing skills. I love this quote here, ask and it shall be given to you. Closing the sale is the easiest part of being in sales. If you've done everything right, it's merely asking for the business to the right person. You got to, if you want to close the sale, you got to generate interest. You got to ask the right questions through the sales process. Is this project funded? Who makes the decision? What's the decision-making process? What's the decision-making timeline? How important it is for you to implement our solution? And then this is most importantly, I think this is where a lot of us fail, is you're talking to a middleman. You're talking to someone that's blocking you from the decision maker. And when you do that, you're relying on that person who's not trained to sell your product to sell for you. If you're not talking to the decision maker, it's highly likely you will lose that sale, especially if your competition is. Most importantly, ask for the business. A lot of us do not ask for the business. A lot of us are scared to ask for the business. That is the most important part of closing a sale, is asking for the business. So I like this quote here. We need a new sales strategy. Have you tried begging? Lastly, business tools. And I'm not going to, Cynthia asked me to speak here, and I'm a struggling author. However, BusinessWise is a powerful tool. BusinessWise, it allows you to identify the decision makers in any prospect. It allows you to build prospect lists with intelligent data. If you can build vertical lists, for example, Jack focuses on healthcare. I can go to BusinessWise and I can say, show me all the healthcare companies in the DFW Metroplex that have more than 500 employees. It'll spit me out a list with all the decision makers, all their contact information. Well, guess what? The contact information isn't on there. I can email BusinessWise and they'll get it for me. BusinessWise is a powerful tool. We live by it at Sprint. Once again, we talked about a CRM. You got to have a CRM. You got to be able to log your opportunities, track your opportunities, log your appointments. So when I go to a company, it's my turn to make a cold call. Salesforce, I can pull that company up in Salesforce. It'll tell me how many times I've called that person, when I called them, what kind of gift I took. All that information is important for you. And if you're not using LinkedIn, I would encourage you to utilize LinkedIn. It's a very powerful tool, especially with social networking. 95% of business professionals are on LinkedIn. You can find out about their profile, about where they worked. You never know. They might have worked for a company that one of your friends is doing business with that can get you in or can introduce you to that person. Also, I've seen people go through LinkedIn to get appointments. So LinkedIn is a powerful tool. And also, I would encourage you to create your own personal electronic library of all of your accounts, proposals, anything you've done with that account. Make sure you have a library so you can always reference that material. It goes back to organization. If given 6 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend the first 5 hours sharpening my axe. Last thing I'm going to cover is, this is a tough job. Sales is hard. And I love this quote here from Michael Jordan. I failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. One of the things that I did when I was struggling in sales, and I still do this today, in my queue I have a whiteboard. And I wrote on there, I got this from my father who is an Army Ranger, failure is not an option. And I saw that every single day. If I was up, down, I would see that phrase, failure is not an option. I also surrounded myself with positive people. If I had a bad day, I could call Sandra. Sandra, I need a pep talk. Cheer me up. I stayed away from negative people. Most importantly, I connect to that thing I talked about with Roy Jones, that why. Why am I doing this? So you got to find ways to stay positive because you're going to have some ups and downs throughout this entire year. But these are some ways to stay positive. But most importantly, I would encourage you to write that phrase. If it's a quote, if it's an inspirational phrase, write it, put it somewhere where you can see it every single day. I just talked about this in sales. We all face challenges, but at the end of the day, always remember this. Nobody cares. No one cares. No one cares that the client didn't buy your product because the price was too high. At Sprint, no one cares that we have some issues with the network. Or nobody cares that you're selling banking and the other company came in and undercut your price. Nobody cares. I love this quote here. Never tell your problems to anyone. 20% don't care. The other 80% are glad you have them. Lastly, this is something else as far as staying motivated. If you think nobody cares if you're alive, try to see a couple of car payments. Lastly, these are some people that don't care that you have, that you're struggling in your business. The bank that financed your house doesn't care. College that's waiting on that tuition check for your kids. Private school. Anybody got kids in private school? Doubt they care, Michael, that you're having issues. Bank that financed your car loan, anyone getting married, the wedding expenses, these folks don't care. I love this quote here. Winners find ways to win despite circumstances. This is my son. We just got a pool last year. He was scared to get in the pool. He couldn't swim. Taught the kid to swim. Now the kid won't get out of the pool. But I love this quote here. Always remember this. Winners find ways to win despite circumstance. In summary, why use the blueprint? It's all about the money. If you execute these things on a consistent basis, I guarantee you'll make more money. You'll be more successful in your business. I love this quote here. Money can't buy happiness, but it does bring a more pleasant form of misery. That's it.
Excellent. Questions? Reggie, if we could walk away with just making one change in the way that we develop new business